On the record in cause number 323646, the case is styled the state of Texas versus Carl Raymond Fisher. Is that your full name?
Carl Raymond Fisher Jr., sir.
Okay, Carl Raymond Fisher Jr. Okay, Mr. Fisher, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Fisher, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You may put your hand down. How are you doing, Mr. Fisher?
Pretty good. Yourself, sir?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. Hey, Mr. Fisher, you're here represented by your attorney, Mr. Dustin Galmore. Mr. Galmore, how are you doing?
I'm great, Judge. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. Mr. Galmore, Mr. Fisher's case, the information alleges that on or about April 18 of 2019, while you in Jefferson County, Texas, operating a motor vehicle in a public place, that you, Mr. Fisher, committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of driving while intoxicated with an alcohol concentration level of 0.15 or more. Mr. Fisher, do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, Your Honor.
And to this charge, Mr. Fisher, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
Now, are you pleading no contest freely and voluntarily?
Yes.
And are you pleading no contest because you do not wish to fight or contest the charges?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Mr. Fisher, I have before me a document that is titled that's titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishments. And on this document, let me show you this here now, Mr. Fisher, I had to check another box.
Yes, you're right. When you said that, I heard we checked BWI first.
Yeah,
The main change that will cause is since it's actually Class A, you could have received up to 1 year in jail or $4,000 fine as opposed to the 180 days. Doesn't change the plea bargaining, but it was changes to what you could have possibly received.
Okay.
okay. Now, Mr. Fisher, do you recognize this document?
Yes.
And on the second page of this document, Mr. Fisher, are these your initials on the line next to the box that's checked nolo contingere, which means no contest?
Yes, Your Honor.
And on the next on the same document with the next page, Mr. Fisher, above the line that says defendant, is that your signature?
Yes, Your Honor.
And on the next document, which is the trial court certification of defendant's right of appeal, Mr. Fisher, do you recognize this document?
Yes.
And is this your signature above the line that says defendant?
Yes, Your Honor.
Two boxes are checked at the top of this document. The first box states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
The second box that's checked states that you are waiving your right to appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
We have the discovery certification,
Yeah, Judge. Do you have the print? Okay.
audit report. Okay, Mr. Fisher, I have before me a document that is titled discovery certification. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, Your Honor.
The signature on the second line above the line that says defendant, is that your signature?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, Mr. Fisher, prior to signing and initialing these documents, did your attorney, Mr. Galmore, go over these documents with you?
Yes, Your Honor.
And did you read and understand everything in these documents?
I did.
And is everything in these documents, it needs to be signed? I mean, it needs to be the date.
Okay.
Is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, Your Honor.
State, I have before me State's Exhibit number 1. State, you like to offer State's 1?
Yes, Your Honor, and I'd
Without
also
objection.
like to offer State's Exhibit number 2, which is the probable cause affidavit.
Okay, any objections?
Without objection.
No objections. State's Exhibits number 1 and 2 are admitted. Mr. Galmore, you have advised and counseled Mr. Fisher. Is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Fisher, your attorney, Mr. Galmore, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, Your Honor.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent representation?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Fisher, I will accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your pleas and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
What is that agreement?
It's for 90 days probated over 9 months, an $800 fine, 80 hours community service, DWI education class, drug and alcohol assessment, and interlock device.
That is our understanding of the agreement, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Fisher, the state is offering that you serve 90 days in Jefferson County Jail. However, you not have to serve any time in the Jefferson County Jail because you'll be on probation for 9 months. During the 9 months probationary period, you'll be required to pay an $800 fine and court costs of $407. The total fine and court costs comes to a total amount of $1,207. You'll also be required to pay a probation fee of $60 each month and a urinalysis fee of $15 each month. You will also be required to pay the Jefferson County DWI education class and initial evaluation fee of $125 on the date of plea. And should a further evaluation be needed, you'll be required to pay an additional $50. Now, the total monthly installments that you would have to pay for this offense is $230 per month. Mr. Fisher, would you be able to pay the $230 each month?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Fisher, you'll also be required to perform 80 hours of community service. You would have to attend a DWI education class and assessment, drug and alcohol assessment. And you would also be required to install an interlock device on any vehicle that you own or operate. Now, Mr. Fisher, or you would also have to adhere to the other standard terms and condition of probation. Mr. Fisher, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, Your Honor.
And do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes, Your Honor.
And do you accept the state's offer?
I do, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Fisher, I'll follow the plea bargaining agreement that you've entered into with the state. Mr. Fisher, would you stand on the X where your attorney is standing? You're going to follow the directions of our court clerk. And once you finish in here, you'll be free to go and you have a blessed day.
All right, thank you, Your Honor.
Look at your right thumbprint, Mr. Fisher.